Om Shanti. Today I'll read out the blessing first. So, Baba is in the blessing giving us a very beautiful description of Baba's heart throne. And Baba says, the place to remain constantly safe is the heart throne of the Father, the comforter of hearts. Always maintain the awareness. It is my great fortune to be seated on God's heart throne. Those who are merged in God's heart or are seated on the heart throne are constantly safe. No storms of Maya or matter can shake them. The memorial of those who remain so unshakable is Achal Ghar. Achal Ghar is in Mount Abu. So Baba says that's the memorial of stability. So Baba says the memorial of those who remain so unshakable is Achal Ghar, not Chanchal Ghar. So there is no memorial of those who remain always shaky. So be constantly aware that we had become unshakable many times before and are unshakable even now. Now, Baba's heart throne is a beautiful place to be in. And we all understand that. But the thing is, how can we always remain seated on Baba's heart throne? So Baba usually gives this example that just like, parents always want their children to sit in their lap and not get dirty in the mud outside. But children prefer to get dirty. And then what they do is they would just slip from the lap and go and play in the mud and then get dirty. And then again come back to parents and then ask them to clean them up. So Baba's heart throne is the cleanest, safest, purest place. And Baba says that only we children have the fortune to be seated on Baba's heart throne. Because in this Gyan Marg, Baba has told us a formula, Vidhi se Siddhi. So any possibility is attained only when you follow the right process. Now, why does Baba say that only we children have the fortune to sit on Baba's heart throne? Because although everybody in the world, every soul in the world is Baba's child, they don't know how to sit on Baba's heart throne. And we children know Baba, we know the method, we know the process, we know the formula how to always be seated on Baba's heart throne. And that's why Baba says only you children have the fortune. But even if we have the fortune, do we act according to our fortune is the question. Now let's discuss the method. So what is the method through which we can always be seated on Baba's heart throne? So if you remember Sunday's Murli, so Sunday Avyakt Murli, this Sunday itself, 2 days back. So Baba in that Murli said that you can remember Baba in many ways. Yes, you can have a lot of ways of remembering Baba. You can remember Baba in many forms, in many relationships, You can sometimes become an angel. You can sometimes sit on Baba's heart throne. But the main thing which you have to, be careful about is you do not remember anybody other than Baba. And Baba said that if you remember others, then you cannot be seated on Baba's heart throne constantly. Yes? And let's make this very practical. So when I give you a commentary, yes, about experiencing the comfort, the safety, the protection of being seated on Baba's heart throne, and in the middle of the commentary, if you just start remembering something of the old world, then you stop experiencing the comfort of the heart throne. Do you not? Yes? So now you think that if in a 5-minute commentary you are not able to stabilize yourself on the heart throne of Baba, and as soon as you remember someone else or something else or some situation or something from the past or the future, then it's like slipping away from the lap and going and playing in mud and getting dirty. So Baba says you have to have this one condition, that you don't remember anybody other than Baba. And if we are completely soul conscious, then we can be in this world and be in total remembrance of Baba. Yes, so while being a giver in the world, we could be in complete remembrance of Baba. And only those children who, not just in a 5-minute commentary, but all day, if you are doing everything in the world, but you are in the remembrance of one Baba, then you are constantly sitting in Baba's heart throne, and in that position of being seated on Baba's heart throne, you will never be able to experience what insecurity is, what fear is, what worry is, what concern is, because Baba's heart throne is a very stable and very, very secure place to be in. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, you have to check whether you are able to detach from the world, from the thoughts of the world, even for 5 minutes properly. Yes, and then in Amrit Vela, are you able to sit detached and in complete remembrance of Baba, in complete soul consciousness for 45 minutes? Are you able to do that? And only then can we expect that, okay, during the day, you will also maintain that awareness of being in the remembrance of one Baba. So this has to be practiced, because we have this sanskar of remembering the old world. And until you have that sanskar, you cannot experience the sweetness of being in Baba's heart throne constantly. So this is something that we have to take care. And Baba says, in Baba's heart throne, no storms of Maya or matter can shake you. But Maya and matter will affect you if you are in body consciousness. So once you are in soul consciousness and complete remembrance of Baba, only then can you have this unshakable stage. So I told you what Baba told us in the Sunday Murli combined with today's Murli, so that you have better perspective. Now, today's Murli is all about being, knowing that I am Baba's child, and Baba is the remover of sorrow, bestower of happiness. So I also have, first, I cannot give sorrow. through thoughts, words, and deeds. And second is, I have to also be the master remover of sorrow and bestower of happiness. So I also have to, give happiness to souls. Now let's understand that when Baba talks to us, Baba is not talking in the body conscious way, and the way we understand sorrow and happiness in the body conscious way is very different from when we understand sorrow and happiness in the unlimited context, or in the in the method of truth. So when you look at the true nature of sorrow and happiness, it is very different from how you look at it in the body conscious way. So now let me start from the very basic, how to not give sorrow through thought, word, and action. So first thing is thought. So you see, sometimes you just start thinking judgmentally about somebody. Yes, you see somebody's action and then you start thinking about how wrong they are. Yes, and sometimes even in Gyan, when we become Baba's instruments, and there is a couple who comes and tells us, this person this does this to me, or the other one complains, this one does this to me. It is very difficult to stay non-judgmental and just understand that it's drama. So sometimes you get caught in those thoughts, and I remember it was very difficult in the earlier days, and then I had to really practice and be in Baba's remembrance and really train myself to be non-judgmental. So Baba says, when you look at somebody's actions, when you look at a scene, then staying detached and staying and being an observer and not creating any thoughts about, any judgmental thoughts about the scene or the behavior. This is one area where we need to work for not giving sorrow. Yes, so the drama is playing out, but we give a lot of sorrow by thinking negatively about the scene or the person or the behavior. So this is a very gross thing that we do all the time. So putting a full stop to your thoughts by using the gyan that every soul is just playing their part, and that's their prefixed parts. It's neither good nor bad, it just is what it is. Yes, so don't label it as good or bad or right or wrong. And that will save you if you just put a full stop, even if there is a urge to start thinking about it. So just put a full stop by using the knowledge of prefix drama and the knowledge that everybody is playing their accurate part, and every scene in the drama is accurate if you look at it in totality. So if you just use that point, you will become free from giving sorrow in thought. Yes. So that's a very important point, and I personally think that this is a very then there is blame. So sometimes there is a scene where there is loss or something happened or of the nature of loss, and then you blame somebody. Yes, that this happened because of them, or this thing broke because of them, or this thing was lost, or this was not used optimally because of them, or this wastage happened because of them. and then you start creating thoughts that give sorrow. Yes. So all these thoughts of blame, of judgment, they give sorrow to souls. And have you ever been in an environment where somebody is constantly thinking judgmentally about you, or always blaming you for something or the other? Maybe not even using words for it, but they are subtly, you know that when there is a sound in the kitchen, then this person must be thinking that I broke something. So there is just this, this knowing that there is a vibration of judgment and blame. And have you seen how the soul suffers in that environment? So, if that's the environment, then that soul takes a lot of sorrow. And I will tell you, these days, there are at least right now, there are two people um, who are who are really messed up inside because of this, because of their journey as a child in a very fearful environment. So, this brother and there is this one sister, two different families, and they gave me the same narrative. So, as children, whenever they did something and the father didn't like it, then the mother would say, just shh, don't do this, don't say this. Your father will not like it, or he will get angry, or he will shout. And then these children have grown to have very difficult personalities, lot of anxiety in their minds, and this is all giving sorrow. So creating an environment of fear, creating an environment of judgment, blame, anger, all of this is, and sometimes it's not even verbal, it's all very, very non-verbal. It's in the thought, it's in the vibration you create. So mostly, I have seen in households people say that my father doesn't speak anything, but when he gets angry he will turn the whole house upside down. So once in 5 years he gets angry, but all the 5 years everybody in the house is scared that he might get angry. So that's also there. So we need to understand how we gift sorrow and how we fill the hearts of souls with sorrow through our thoughts, words, and actions. And then there are other methods also, like this is a very, I'm telling you, this is a very concrete, like it's visible. So we are able to see it, although we need the use of the intellect, but not very much, because we understand fear, anger, and these things and the effects of these days with psychology. But today, Baba in the Murli is talking about something else. So, Baba talks about three things basically. One, he says that when you become body conscious, or you think, speak, and act in a manner that somebody becomes body conscious, that is giving sorrow. Okay. Then second thing is, Baba says that when somebody is encouraged on the path of vice, lust, then they are given sorrow, because when you are encouraged on the path of lust, you lose your strength as a soul. So that is giving sorrow. So the second thing is encouraging somebody on the path of lust. That's another form of giving sorrow. And third is, Baba says, bhakti. So when you teach somebody to go away from Baba, yes, when they move away from Baba and they move towards bhakti, that's the beginning of sorrow. Okay, so Baba says these are three things which count as sorrow. Now let's take the first one. When you encourage somebody to be body conscious, now you see that the physical context is not in our control. Yes, is it in your control? Most of the aspects of the physical context are not in your control. So yes, there is some part which can be taken care of through effort, but most of it cannot be taken care of by effort. How you look is not in your control. Your height, yes, and many things, they are not in your control. Your complexion, your height, there are many things which are not in your control. And if you create an environment where somebody becomes very body conscious, then you are telling them that their happiness depends on factors that will never be in their control. And that is why they can never choose to be happy. Yes, and I have always given this example, and it sits deeply in my heart. So once I was traveling by metro, and there was this lady with her daughter just sitting across me, and that daughter was wearing braces, and her teeth were not proper. And then the mother kept telling that daughter, you don't want to wear braces, you don't know what's going to happen to you in future years, you will end up being so ugly, nobody will marry you, and you think you look like a heroine, you don't know how you look. And she just kept telling her that having the right kind of teeth decides how worthy she is. And then that girl was just sitting, mum, and quiet there all the time. And she was very ashamed that people were listening to the whole conversation. And she was really feeling very, very embarrassed. And that mother didn't stop. And I was just wondering at the kind of damage that was being done at that moment. And again, I taught myself to be non judgmental, because that was not a place where I could intervene. So I also, again, giving sorrow to the mother was also not a good idea because you see that sometimes, I told you earlier, it's very difficult to not be caught up in the right and wrong and be an observer. So I just stopped myself from creating, sorrowful thoughts, and just sat there as an observer, because there is no wrong or right. Again, it's a karmic settlement. But the thing is that we teach these things in the class at least, because anybody who wants to change can change. You cannot force somebody to change their mindset about these things, but this is what Baba teaches us. So if you create an environment, if you speak words, if you do actions which reward a certain kind of a body conscious, existence, and punish another certain kind of, so sometimes, the female child is punished and the male child is rewarded just by virtue of their gender. Yes, so then that sense of I'm less than the male child is driven into the soul. Yes, that I have a female body, so I'm less than somebody who has a male body, is driven into the soul. And as long as that body exists, you cannot drive that less than feeling out of the soul in the female body. So there is this feeling of being less than, feeling of being greater than, feeling of being worthy, unworthy, which gets drilled into the soul by virtue of some physical context, and then it becomes very difficult for the soul to see themselves as really who they are, full of the potential to be happy and peaceful and feel worthy and great. Because ever since they are children, by virtue of their physical context, they have been given some ideas that you are less than this or greater than that. Yes, so, and then this also happens, the opposite also happens. So somebody has been given an idea that you are great because you're born great. Yes, so you are born in a male body, so you're great by virtue of your birth. So whatever you do is condoned, and so you don't have to feel sorry about doing anything, being anything, not doing anything, because you're just born great. So all that is also done. So, or if you're born in a rich family, and then, or you're born to one brother among four brothers, the one who is earning the most, then you are given an idea that just by being born to this parent, you are great enough, and then you don't have to do anything. You don't have to contribute to society. You don't have to do any good karma. You don't have to bear any burden in life. So these are all the superiority complexes and inferiority complexes that are driven into the soul. And then it's very difficult to teach the soul that you are a soul and you should have self esteem and also a sense of responsibility. So, when you are soul conscious, you know two things. First thing is, I am worthy because I am, and then I do because I am. So, it's not just that I have to do something to prove my worth, but because I am worthy, I also have a responsibility towards performing responsible actions. Because Baba has given me the capacity to perform actions, to create something, contribute to a better world. So I have a responsibility. So a sense of self-worth balanced with responsibility is soul consciousness. Yes, so the being and the doing go together. But the doing is founded on the being, not otherwise. And the world tells you that the doing is the foundation of the being, which is you are as you do. But no, Baba says you realize who you are and you do accordingly. So this is one thing. So when you make somebody body conscious, you are giving them sorrow for life. So do you do that? You do that all the time. Yes, you look at how you're treating your children and how you're treating other people around me. And we are so body conscious that even when you listen to a name, or that name doesn't, so there was this one brother and he had a certain name, and then one mother asked him, what is your name, beta? And then he said, this is my name. And that mother said, okay, this is like a female name, you have a feminine name. And then that little child got very upset that my name is not okay. And then he, instantly said, I've been talking to my parents to change my name, but they're not doing it. So now he will suffer because he has a feminine name all his life, because that mother told him it's not okay. So, this is how you give sorrow. This is how you make a soul enmeshed, mess up with their mind, because they start thinking that my physical context is my identity and I cannot change it, so I cannot change my sense of self or my feeling about myself. So this is something. Then second thing is, and body consciousness is a very big area, so I cannot cover all of it. So I have given you certain examples, but there are so many things through which we propagate body consciousness. So you think about them. Then there is the second thing which Baba says, when you encourage someone on the path of lust, yes, so the world will tell you that getting married makes you worthy. So if you are impure, you have greater social value than when you are pure. Is it not? And when you have the stamp of impurity, you have a child also, you have even greater value than when you have the stamp of purity. So, this is how the world tells you your value. And I remember as children, we also used to hear that somebody who doesn't get married doesn't have any social value. So you cannot go and when you go to a party alone, then people don't respect you. When you go with your spouse, people will respect you. And I didn't understand why, until the age of 18, 19, I'm good on my own. But then suddenly, something happens and then I'm not good to go by myself. And then I need somebody else to, add value to me. So it really didn't make sense to me. But this is how we encourage lust. And lust is like these days, even in schools. So there is a girl who is in 6th standard in school, and she told me that, Didi, I don't have any friends because I don't have a boyfriend, and all my classmates have boyfriends. And these days, those who are single are looked down upon because nobody likes you, so you are not worthy enough. So I was just thinking about where the problem is starting, in 6th standard. If you feel that you don't have a social circle because you are not into, you're not attractive enough, or other people are not staring at your body, so that's a real problem. So Baba says that this is how we are encouraging the culture of lust. And Baba in the Murli specifically says that, and I'll tell you, in Christianity, it is very clearly written that when you are born of sin, you are a sinner. So you cannot be free from the capacity or the propensity to create pap karma if you're born of sin. So when you're born of sin, you have sinful thoughts, you encourage sinful behavior, you always encourage people to search for their identity in lust. And if you look at Google, Google says that man is a sexual being. So so you are addressed as a sexual being because it's all about, it's all interconnected. So, and Baba today says that people cannot even visualize a world or imagine a world where birth takes place through pure methods. And Baba says only when you go to Satyug and there is a world where there is no lust, no vice, can there be this, this viceless culture. But until then, you are the ones who have to work towards this. So you have to make effort to stop giving sorrow through these means, and create a world where lust is not the norm, purity is the norm. So this is something that Baba talks about. Then the third thing that Baba talks about is how bhakti makes you, sorrowful. Now, what is bhakti? Now, bhakti is, let me put it simply, the idea of bhakti is that your peace, your purity, your happiness, your fortune, your destiny depends on others. Yes, so when you do bhakti, when you read the scripture, then you are taught that this deity has to bless you so that your destiny is improved. So bhakti is all about giving away your power and freedom and choice to be happy and peaceful to others. Yes. And bhakti teaches you this. So whether you will go to moksha or not, whether you will lead a life of happiness or not, will all depend on kripa, grace. So it's not a choice, it's grace. So it's always taught that you do something to please the deities, and when the deities are pleased, then they will have grace on you, and then you can, you can be happy. But Baba tells us that the truth is that a soul is happy by nature. You don't need anybody's grace to be happy. You don't need anybody's grace to be peaceful. Peace and happiness is a choice, it's a thought. You take that thought, you seat yourself in your soul conscious stage, you remember that you are the child of the ocean of peace and happiness. So the closer you are to Baba, the closer you are to truth, the closer you are to happiness and peace. And the further away you move from Baba and truth, the more difficult happiness and peace becomes for you. And then people are doing so much to be happy and peaceful. And I remember there was this one brother, and he came and asked me. So he said, my first marriage failed, and should I get married for the second time? So I said, why do you ask me that? So he said, I'm just asking you whether my marriage will work out. So I said, who did you ask for the first time? So he said, I asked another Guruji, and he said, I said, what did he say? So he said, I bless you, your marriage will be very successful. So I said, and didn't you ask that Guruji why that marriage failed? So he said, no, now he is no more, so I cannot ask him. So I said, now you have come to a younger one so that you can just, get hold of me when your second marriage fails or what. So he said, no, Didi, I'm just asking you. So I said, you must understand that whether your marriage will work out or not depends only on you. It doesn't even depend on the other person. It doesn't also depend on the person you marry. It depends only on you. Do you get that? So he said, why do you say that? So I said, because if I tell you today that your marriage, the success of your marriage will depend on you and that person, then you will always keep expecting from that person to cooperate. But today, if you understand this one important thing, that anything that's yours depends only on you. Yes, your marriage, if you say this is my marriage, you have the power to make it work, come what may. Even if the other person is not cooperating any bit, you can make it work. So when you understand these things, then you don't give away your power to reasons and circumstances and other things. So Baba says that this bhakti, that the stars or the condition of your astrological stages or something determines what will happen in your life. So this is a big belief system that's fed into us, and then we start thinking that if these factors are not okay, then obviously it will have an effect on my life. But Baba says, no, you are God's child, and when you want to make something work, it will work. Yes, and in any case, first thing is whether something works or not is decided by how you are there. So first you have to focus on your state of mind. So, it's not like you have to make the marriage work. The marriage will also work, or anything will work for that matter, your job, anything, if your being is okay. And your being is completely in your control. So if you remember your Baba's child, if you remember who you are, how powerful you are, you can always be your perfect self. And when you can be that, then all your doing will be the best possible, and everything you get will be the best. So that's there. And also, bhakti is not just limited to the worship of deities and this and that, but bhakti extends to every aspect of our life where we think that the state of the other determines my state of peace and happiness. So if you think that people, places, and things, so what is the condition of people around you, which place you are in, or what you have or what you don't have determines your state of happiness and peace, then you are doing bhakti. Okay, so Baba says, and now I am telling you the method to move from sorrow to happiness, because I am giving back your power by making you soul conscious, reminding you that you're my child, you're very powerful, you have the capacity to choose your feelings the way you want. And Baba says, you also do the same for others. Okay, you also teach them how to be soul conscious and connect them to Baba. And when they belong to Baba, they start realizing how powerful they are. And any powerful soul has choice, so they can also be in a position to choose their happiness and peace. Okay, so this is how you become the remover of sorrow and the bestower of happiness. Okay, Om Shanti.